It's very simple. The idea is that if someone is on my email list, they're looking for something. They're there because they're looking for something, looking for some kind of leadership, some kind of guidance, some kind of information that will help them move from here to there in some important part of their life or business. And the fact is that I may not be the one to be able to provide that. They they may have joined my list because they're hoping that I can help them with that, but I may not be able to. Or maybe I can help with part of it, but not all of it, because none of us has all the answers.
Hello and welcome to Marketing Speak. I'm your host, Stephan Spencer. It is my pleasure to have my friend Dov Gordon back with us. Dov is the founder of the JVMM, which stands for Joint Venture Mastermind. He started it in 2009. It's become a vibrant community of thought leaders and entrepreneurs, of which I've been a part of since 2018. He ran it for over a decade for free, but it eventually evolved into a paid community. And as the saying goes, when people pay, they pay attention. I personally get a ton of value out of it. Its focus is to assist thought leaders in growing their business via joint ventures. Now, you may recognize Dov's name because he appeared before on this podcast at episode number 146, which I highly recommend listening to. Dov, it's so great to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, so it's great to have you back. And we're in the same country now.
That's right.
Yeah. So I would love to start by just maybe explaining how you were able to shift from your previous business model of coaching and consulting and then doing a free community for a very long time and then making that your paid gig, your business, where you got some churn or drop off, but then you got a whole bunch of new people in and yeah, it's just been a really great community. Of course, I happily pay and have been since whenever that shift happened, 2019, 2020, something like that. When did you do that?
It might have been 2019. I'd have to go back and check. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, but that was a big leap. That was a leap of faith.
Yeah, it was scary, but well, I just rewind a bit so people know what we're talking about. I lead the Joint Venture Marketing Mastermind, like you said, JVMM, which I started years ago, probably around 2009 or so. I don't remember exactly. So, and I started with a handful of people that I'd met online. And the purpose of this was that we were all selling to small business owners, coaches, consultants, agency owners, entrepreneurs, and so on. We're all selling to the same type of audience. We're serving, that those were our target market. We're selling different types of trainings, coaching, consulting, support, products, whatever it might be, software. And we all understand that we have our audience, and that's who we're marketing to. We're sending emails. So we're all using email marketing. So we're focused on building an email list, as well as over time, it's also developed as social media developed, because we started this when social media wasn't what it is today. And the idea is that we've all been on someone's email list, maybe many email lists, and they send an email telling you about a third person. And hey, you should go check out that webinar or get this free book or free download or whatever it might be. And what that is, that it's very simple. The idea is that if someone is on my email list, they're looking for something. They're there because they're looking for something, looking for some kind of leadership, some kind of guidance, some kind of information that will help them move from here to there in some important part of their life or business. And the fact is that I may not be the one to be able to provide that. They may have joined my list because they're hoping that I can help them with that, but I may not be able to. Or maybe I can help with part of it, but not all of it, because none of us has all the answers. So they might instead be looking for Stephan Spencer, right? Because maybe Stephan Spencer provides a piece of what's missing. So if I have a group, on my email list, and I, after a period of time, I start to say, hey, why don't you check out this thing that Stephan is doing tomorrow? It's free, and you'll learn about X, Y, and Z, or SEO, right? And and then people come and they join your email list so they can get access to whatever you're giving away for free. Now, a lot of people are going to be happy. First of all, you might now get a new client from that, which means that they've found who they've been looking for. And I'm happy because someone on my list got what they needed. And, depending on our relationship, it might just be a good fit, or maybe sometimes there's a commission paid. Everyone has their own arrangements, their own agreements, their own way of doing it. And then, of course, the person, so it's win-win-win. It's three ways, three-way. So everybody wins. And it could be there are a lot of people on my list to begin with who will never buy from me. Could be there are some who'll buy from both of us, and some who won't buy from me, but they'll buy from you, and some who won't buy from me or from you, but they're still looking, and maybe eventually you'll introduce them to somebody else, or I'll introduce them to somebody else, and that'll be what they're looking for. Or they'll get what they're looking for as part of what we share for free, and that will get them what they need, and that's also fine. So that's the simple idea. And I started this years ago when I shifted from focusing on consulting for corporate to coaching small business owners, people who I felt were, in a similar situation to where I had been a few years before, where I have a lot to offer, and I have, I know I genuinely want to help. I know I have a good perspective, but I struggled for a long time to figure out how to get those clients consistently. And over time, I came to realize that there are really two paths to thrive as an independent consulting coach, expert, and so on. There's what I think of as the path of the charismatic guru, and then there's the path of mastery. There's the path of the charismatic guru where, somebody is, we've all, there are a lot of people like that. They have a big, strong, personality, and that helps them grab attention and interest and then move people along their funnel to where people are happy to buy from them. But most of us don't have that strong, outgoing, charismatic personality. And if we try to be something that we're not, we look like fools to everybody. Hopefully we notice it as well. But we've all seen people we can just sense they're pretending. They're putting on a show. It's an act. They're trying to be something they're not. And there are a few things that are universally more off-putting than someone trying to be someone who's not, right? It's just like, just be yourself, do your own thing. Like, stop trying to be somebody else. I don't know, for some reason, we all tend to find that off-putting. So fortunately, there is another path, which I think of as the path of mastery, which is when you have a deep understanding of why people buy. And I think we talked about this on the last time I was on, so we won't go through the whole thing again. What did you say? It was episode 146?
Yep.
I think it's right. So, but when you understand why people buy when they buy and why they don't buy when they don't buy, then you can build a simple, repeatable marketing and selling system, a process that leads people step by step through phases until they're happily buying from you, happy customers. So that's the approach that I came to understand and came to implement and came to have some success with. And that's when I realized that there are a lot of people like me who are looking up at these, the most visible people, and trying to figure out how, okay, I don't want to be like that. That's not me. I just want, good clients. I just want to do good work and be well paid for it. The people who are happy with my work and how I help them. I don't need the fame. I'm not interested. Not that there's anything wrong with that, again, because I think that, those people who thrive with that, the charismatic guru path, that's fine for them. Both paths could be ethical or unethical, right? So it really depends on how the person is taking it. But like, if somebody has that kind of personality, that's great for them. The problem is that when the rest of us try to imitate it, and then we fall on our faces. So I came to understand that there's that alternative path, and that's where I've been focusing on helping others who are good at what they do, but not natural marketers or salespeople. And almost certainly they've been trying this or that and had some success, but there's this feeling of like something is missing. And usually when we go back to the basics, we peel off some layers and say, okay, something is missing. Let's figure out exactly what's missing for you, because at the end of the day, it comes down to fundamental principles. Like I said, why people buy when they buy, why they don't buy when they don't buy. When you understand that, then you can build out a simple, repeatable marketing and selling system. And it needs to be one that doesn't overwhelm you. And that's one of the big problems that we all face, is that, okay, I'm one guy, or maybe I have a small business with a small team. We can't do everything. None of us can. But when you wake up in the morning and you know that I can help these people with these problems, then how do I get in front of these people? And then even if I'm talking to them, how do I express what I'm trying to say in a way that helps them realize I can help them? And we've got a line around the block of experts, everyone telling us to do something else, right? podcasting, Facebook ads, search results, right? And those are all legitimate. And that's just, publish a book, public speaking, etc. Uh, but none of us can do it all. We all need to make our decisions. And what's important for all of us is that we end up with a simple, repeatable process that works for me, for my values, for my personality, but also at the same time helps me get my message in front of my ideal clients in a way that gets them to recognize, oh, you're talking to me. You just
Yeah.
described my problem better than I could. You just described my frustration better than I could. You must really understand me. What do you recommend? And that's essentially, very high level, very simplified. That's the process of what we're looking to accomplish.
Yep. So we'll make sure to include the link to the episode 146 where you go in a deeper dive into that process for our listener to listen to that one as well. Yeah.
And I know I went off a bit long there, but I'll just wrap up the to answer the original question. So when I moved from more corporate focus to individual focus, I was looking around, well, how am I going to reach my ideal target market? And I realized that the best way for me would be if I had joint venture promotions with other people who already had email lists and audiences of the people I was looking to reach. So I started, connecting with, emailing some people that I'd met online in various forums or programs that I'd participated in myself. Hey, this is what I want to do. I want to bring together people who are all selling to this type of audience and are looking to do joint venture promotions. And I'm looking for certain kinds of people, not looking for anybody. Um, and we started with a handful of people, and over the years we grew to almost 200 people. And that's where it got to where I realized that, maybe only about half were active, and I needed to know who really wants to be there. It can't just be that, we have a long list of people and maybe about half are not really interested in being there, but they've got this library card, so to speak, and never expires, right? So I realized that I have to start charging something for it, because at some point, it just becomes there is a bit of a weight that's on the community. And so I was, like you mentioned, it was a leap. I was afraid of going from almost 200 members to maybe 10 or 20, but fortunately, it didn't happen that way. We did lose a lot of members, and it was actually interesting because I was surprised about some people I expected to continue, and they did continue. Some people I expected to continue, and they didn't. I was surprised. And some people I thought would not continue, and they did, and I was surprised. So we really never know for sure how different people will relate to different offers, because there are always factors that we cannot possibly know until we engage in a conversation with them, and even then, up to a certain point. But we ended up with, as I recall, was 45 people, and over the years we've continued to grow back slowly but surely. Um, just about every member has been nominated by an existing member. I'm not out there pushing this and marketing. My focus is on serving the existing members, helping them grow through joint ventures. And so I never intended for us to be a source of revenue, but now my aim is that every member earns at least 100 times their annual investment, and the investment is modest. I won't say what it is because it might change over the years, and but
$1 million.
yeah, it's not a very high fee. It's probably not the cheapest, but it's certainly not the most expensive. But I talk to every potential member. I mean, you can't go on the website and sign up for it and then show up as a member. I do what I did all along: is I need to talk to every member for beforehand to make sure it's a good fit.
Yeah. It's a very well curated community. Yeah, you do a great job with that.
Appreciate that. Um, I never try to convince anyone to join. I never try to convince anyone to stay. People, of course, leave. We have attrition. People's situations change. People realize that it's not what they really want for them or whatever reason. And that's all fine. I just stay focused on my three jobs, which is curation, conversation, education. And I try to curate to make sure that we have the right people in the community. And once you have the right people, everyone's so busy. So I try to do things to help people get to know each other, to connect, to build relationships, to understand, hey, Stephan, what are you working on? What are you moving towards? How might I help you? And here's what I'm working on. How might you help me? Because at the end of the day, at the beginning of the day, at the end of the day, it all comes down to relationships. Um, and that's where we can really be most valuable to each other. And then so I do things for, as I said, curation and conversation to get people to talk, to run some different types of events online, and then education. We have so many people with such great expertise. I look for opportunities to help members learn from each other. So we very almost never bring in an outside expert to speak about anything. Almost never, because it's not necessary. We have just such high level people. I believe you've presented, I think, twice,
Yep. Yep.
if I recall,
Hmm.
and both times was very valuable. People got some real practical um, guidance from you, some good ideas, and that's what the JVMM is, and profitable relationships. That's what it's about.
Yeah. And it's not just one monthly meeting over Zoom. You have these smaller groups that meet. There's a networking call as well. You used to have all of that in one call, the networking and the educational presentation piece, but you've broken it up into multiple calls. And I'm just curious how that evolved and what the feedback from the community has been.
Yeah, I mean it all everything evolves from feedback. I don't I don't have the best answers for any of this, so I really just start with what makes sense to me. I run it by certain people, just different members, and then we'll do something, and then a member comes to me and has an idea and says, "Oh, what about this?" And so we've had different members, like you said, who will lead what we call working groups within the community that are focused on a specific topic. I'm not even usually on those calls because it may not be, it might be in the middle of the night for me, or whatever, or I don't want to step on the members' toes. I want to give members opportunities to lead and facilitate and connect with other members without me being in the way. Um, because I've really come to understand that when you try to control things that you cannot control, all you end up doing is losing the control that you had. And so, like, we have very few rules in JVMM. We really have three main values, but we have very few rules. And I just really try to be there and to enable things, to have things running. So that's the that's the way it works. We have different, like you said, we have what we call rapid networking calls a couple of times a month. We have one that's intended for America, Australia. That's run by Virginia Muskies usually, because it's at 1 or 2 a.m. for us. And she volunteered for that. And we have some just really good people, who step up. We have, as soon as I used to think that I have to do everything because that's what people expect. And then I realized, well, that's silly. People want the results, not me to do anything. It's not about me. Um, And then when I realized that other members would be happy to take on certain responsibilities, and that would be valuable for them because it gives them more visibility, and it's valuable for the members because they get more opportunity, then then all I need to do is just enable it, to provide the infrastructure to make sure things are able to work in the background. So that's my philosophy about it, and that's what we focus on.
Yeah, and there's another type of call that you guys came up with. I think maybe it was another member suggestion. These weak tie explosion calls, which is a weird name, but what's that about?
Well, we haven't those we phased out. I don't remember exactly why, but we did do that. That was I don't remember exactly how we ran those, but it was also another. It was intended for small group networking, but what we've been doing instead now is that we have breakout rooms. So we have the rapid network sessions. We have a combination of you know, the full group together, and then we, go into smaller breakout rooms. People get to meet each other, and then we come back, everyone together, share something you learned about somebody else that we should know, or or not know, but want to know. So and and then we usually will have three of those over 90 minutes, and that's just a good way to rapidly connect or reconnect with people who are happy to help you promote your business, happy to help you grow your email list, make more sales, pay you commissions for helping them. That's what it is. And I know that a big part of why it works is because we're very clear as to who we're for. A lot of, there are other joint venture communities, um, and I know some people running them, good people running good groups. We are for, like I said, everyone has to be selling to coaches, consultants, agency owners, entrepreneurs, small business, so on. If you're selling to corporate, it's not really a fit. If you're selling to SaaS startups, it's probably not a fit. It's a different world. So we're looking for people who are selling to the same audience. But in addition to that, I'm looking for people who are what I think of as just higher quality people, in the sense that they're really looking for a longer term relationship, both with their customers, their clients, as well as their joint venture partners. So it's not transactional so much as like, hey, let's get to know each other. Let me understand what you're looking for and see how we can support each other. Sometimes it's just I'll promote you, you promote me. Sometimes it's more embedded, where hey, every time you run this course, maybe I could teach a section on this and that, which adds to it. And then some of those people also want to then work with me, and then I'll pay you a commission or something to that effect. And then everybody wins. We like to see more embedded collaborations. Um, so those are all just very good things to do. But the other things that we're looking for, so I said, like, they're looking for people selling to the same audience and people who have a certain, you know, there's a generosity, there's a spirit of generosity that I look for. And also I'm looking for people who are not afraid to leave their ego at the door. No one's here to impress anybody else. We're not here to just talk about how good I am, how rich I am, how smart I am, how anything. I have no interest in that. So it's just not who I tend to attract. I tend to attract people who are happy to share, to learn, and to contribute, to share what's worked for me and where I've failed, where things haven't worked. And we're looking for we're intermediate and advanced. Right? We're not for the person who's just getting started. We're looking for people who typically will have at least low six figures in sales. Nothing magical about that number. What I'm really looking for is people who have an ongoing business. And our members are from low six figures to upper seven figures, with even one or two eight figures. And it works because you can have $150,000 in a 5,000 person email list that could be very valuable to a person with a $5 million business, and 100,000 person email list. It can still be very valuable. So that's how we work for. But there are other, like I said, other communities. They tend to also have a lot of beginners in them, and they tend to have people selling to all different types of audiences. So even if they have bigger, larger membership, we're focused really. In other words, we know our focus, and I think that's really important for whatever business you're in, to know your focus. I think that also my competitive advantage to a great degree is lack of ambition, which sounds like a joke, and it kind of is, but I'm not looking to build the biggest network. I'm not looking to make millions of dollars from this. I'm looking for myself, mid six figures and a flexible schedule, small team. I don't want employees. I've got, one or two help me behind the scenes. They're amazing. I couldn't do without them. But I know what I want, and I know what I can contribute and serve. And if I didn't always know that, and I wasn't always so clear about that, and I'm just saying this to encourage anybody who wakes up in the morning frustrated because you feel like you have to do all these different things to be all these things to all these people, I would just encourage you to question that. Do you really? Because if you're really clear as to, and everybody says this, you got to know your niche, right? But it's really true. Like, you do not have to be everything to everybody. There is a little corner of the world that you could serve, and you could serve them better by only serving them. So that's my thoughts.
And you can serve them by giving up the things that don't actually serve you. Like when you were doing one-on-one coaching and consulting, it was hard um, to reach a lot of people and make a lot of impact, I guess. And for me, I am very selective about who I take on as coaching clients. I only take on a small handful, and everyone else I work with is on an agency model. So we have a whole team that does the SEO work for the clients, and I get involved in some of the engagements, and in some I don't. But it's not reliant on me, so I can kind of just relax a bit and allow my team to knock the ball out of the park.
Yeah. I still do one-on-one coaching, like, but I don't actively market it a lot. I have emails that go out on a regular basis, and if someone bubbles to the top and reaches out to me, then and it's a good fit, I'll work with them. But when I made JVM my main focus, I stopped all my group programs, because I felt like I couldn't, build out the marketing promotion for those groups and execute that properly, and also lead JVM properly. Whereas working with people one-on-one, when they bubble up to the top and it's a good fit, I really can, have a lot more flexibility. It's largely building on marketing assets that I've developed years ago, and it's very much about, we show up, get on a call, help them with what they need, and then I move on. So I find that very easy.
Yep.
And I've recently experimented with something, just basically it's pay as you go. So there's no long-term commitment. It's 1 month, like a month and a milestone. The idea is that for people are a lot of people have already spent tens of thousands of dollars for various kinds of coaching help and so on, and perhaps it's helped them, with a lot. I know that I've spent a lot of money, many tens of thousands. I know you spent even more than that. And so, but you reach a point where, like, I know I need some help, but I don't need to spend another $30,000 for that help for another year-long program. I just need help with this. So I decided that I also much prefer, when I'm working with people, like, I don't want to enroll somebody in a long-term program, because then I've got that on my mind all the time. I'd rather just work with people in a very focused way for a limited amount of time, help them get to a result that's that next stage for them, which is a good ROI for whatever we're charging. And so that's most of what I do now is, like, it's an option for those who want to work with me in that way, and it's low pressure for me. So again, it helps me focus mostly on JVM, but I'm pretty good at what I do. So and when it kind of shows up, it's an option. And I also think that's also just another way of, there are a lot of people who are very happy to say, yeah, okay, I'll pay for X over 4 weeks. We're going to work to get a very focused outcome. I'm going to help them with that. And then there's no automatic renewal next month. If you want to continue next month, we'll come up with a next, very focused milestone. Or maybe you don't need help after that. You can keep moving, and then maybe 6 months down the line, you'll come back for another one. So this just came from my own, I'm just rambling, but my thinking is that some of these thoughts will be helpful to somebody, probably, with their own journey. Like, one of the things that I will definitely admit that I've struggled with as a coach is taking on too much responsibility for the client's outcome. And even though I remind myself that a wonderful quote from Abraham Lincoln, who said that the worst thing you can do for those you love is that which they could and should do for themselves. Right? You can't do for somebody else what they're meant to do themselves. You can't carry their end of the stick. I can carry my end of the stick, but it doesn't work if I try to carry the client's end of the stick. They have to do their part. But I always felt that like, it was hard for me if they weren't getting everything they wanted, even if it was totally unreasonable. Even if, when I'm investing a large amount with a coach for myself, I would never have those unreasonable expectations. Now, I know this may not make any sense, but we all have things that are in our heads that don't necessarily make any sense, that we all have to work through and work out. So part of what and everything takes effort, right? Everything, all the work on ourselves takes time and effort. And we have to choose, where are we going to, what are we going to work on? And at some point also, I realized, like, I don't want to have to worry about that anymore. I don't have to work on that. I've got other things that I want to work on, other areas of improvement that I need to work on. So I'll just frame my engagements with people in a way that really enables me to have a very focused promise and very focused responsibilities. And I just and that's what I ended up with, and that's what I'm doing right now. So JVM is my main focus, and then this on the side, when when somebody shows up wanting some help, and that's that. So
Yeah.
the main idea is that really we all need to think through what's a good fit for us. When someone describes their big team and how uh, how I see people who are involved with lots of different projects, lots of different things all at once. I can't do that. It's just I do much better with doing fewer things and going deeper, and I just don't do well with a lot of different projects. Some people clearly could do just fine with that. For me, it's just I can't.
Yeah.
And the better we understand our strengths and weaknesses and our interests, the better we can do.
Yeah. So you've created a really enjoyable lifestyle business with you working in your gift, working in your unique ability most of the time. That's really cool. So let's talk a bit about some of the JV partnerships, promotions, and embedded collaborations that you see happening in the community, and just generally things like joint webinars or co-marketing initiatives, providing things like uh, guest articles and being a columnist on the merchants or the affiliates website, that sort of stuff. Like what sort of things do you see that are working the best, and what's maybe not working so much anymore?
Everything that you've said is what I see. And in terms of what works the best, I think that it's not so much that email doesn't work or podcasts don't work, because every tactic could work and every tactic could fail. What I have seen is that certain people are running their business for a period of years, and then they start to notice that they might be doing the same thing they did 3, 4, 5 years ago, but the results are dropping off.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I see there are two main causes from that. Number one is they are burnt out. Yeah. They themselves are just not that they're doing what they've always done, but they've gotten into a routine that works for them, but they're not passionate about it like they used to be. And because of that, so they're not really able to continue to innovate. They're not bringing the same energy that was working. That energy. Maybe we can't even articulate exactly what difference it's making or how it's making a difference, but it comes across and it makes a difference. You know, and that is a big cause. Like I was talking to somebody in JVMM about a month and a half ago, and he was asking me, so what am I hearing from different members about like what's really working now? Because I talk to members all the time, and that's what I try to do is have one-on-ones all the time. I like to talk to every member at least a couple times a year just to get to know everybody better, to understand what people need to be helpful.
And those are actually really helpful laser coaching sessions too. Those aren't just like, hey, just checking in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't charge extra for it. And if for clients, it does, there's a nice fee there. But for members, I really just I know that every member who's even a little more successful raises the value for everybody else in the group. So I mean that's my focus. And what I like about it is that people usually renew year after year. Um, and like you said, it's a lifestyle business. There's a lot of flexible schedule that I'm fortunate to have. So, and that's very important to me.
Yeah.
Um, so people, they're kind of burning out. And this guy, he said to me, he's like, so what am I seeing working? And I talked to him a few months before that, and I knew that he really wasn't that passionate about what he was doing anymore. And I asked him a few questions, and I said, look, it's not about this type of webinar or that type of webinar. I think you first have to ask. He just shared with me that his whole business to this point had been built on serving these types of people in this type of way, but he really wants to serve that type of people in this other kind of way. That's what he wants to do. I said, I don't think that you're going to fix this with with the question of what's working,
Mm-hmm.
because if it, I think you need to ask yourself, okay, if that's what I want to be doing, then what are the steps to get there? How do I start selling this type of thing to that type of person? And then your natural enthusiasm will make a really big difference and help make it work. Because all these, different types of webinars, there's no magical formula that, oh, I just plug this into my business and suddenly I'm making money. Suddenly people are buying. if we're that easy, you know, well, we all know it's not that easy. And, you know, we all have our own, we all bring our own energy, our own values, our own something, a little bit of, you know, hard to define to what we're doing. And it's often that which makes the big difference. Of course, yes, if your message is more precise or more compelling, it'll make a big difference. Yes. But you're much more likely to arrive at that compelling message based on an insight into your ideal clients, which we've talked about in the previous episode, 146, right?
Yep.
So we explain how to do that. Um, and you know, when you're passionate about the people you're looking to serve, it's really hard to sell to people you don't care about. Okay. Um, I'm talking for most of us. I'm not talking about sharks. You know, I'm not talking about someone looking to take advantage of people, right?
Energetically, though, you know, there is this business karma thing that I believe is real. And if somebody is being manipulative, sharky, salesy, pushy, not only does that come off in the energy of the person, but it also creates a karmic blowback for them. You know, it's not, they don't get away with it. It eventually comes back to bite them in the behind. And as an example of how it would show up in a very practical way is people would probably leave that person's email list because they just keep getting sold to over and over and over again. It's one offer and then another offer and another offer. It's offer after offer after offer with not a whole lot of value. And they're trying to either push other people's launches or their own money making campaigns. It's just, it doesn't feel very good.
And that's another thing. You asked me what are some things I'm seeing that working, not working. I've talked to another person who has been growing very nicely, but he was getting, like he'd mentioned, like he was promoting to his list. He was looking to add more people to his list, so he was thinking of starting to do paid ads. And I asked him a bunch of questions, and I realized that he was promoting sometimes more than one other person a week, like, you know, maybe two people in a week. And I said, I, I think that you'd be better off if you were more selective in your JV partners than and promote fewer people and instead build more of a relationship with your email subscribers, because I kind of alluded to this earlier. They're coming to you for leadership. They're coming to to be led in some area of their life, you know, to help them get a better result, whether it's some, you know, personal business, whatever it is. And they're coming there, join your list because they thought that you can help them with something. And now at some, you know, at some point they start getting promotion after promotion of other people. It's not what they're there for. Similarly, when somebody, you know, we swipe, right, swipe copy, right, is where the person
Yeah,
who you're going
swipe
to
file.
promote, yeah, it's, if you're going to promote me, I'll usually send you some kind of swipe email, swipe copy it's called, which means like, hey, this is you could just copy and paste it and send it to your list. I wouldn't recommend it, and I never do that, almost never, um, because what you should be doing is looking at the swipe copy, the swipe email, and getting from that a hook or an angle or an insight, a better understanding of the core messaging that I'm looking to get across. But then you take that and write your own. You take that and you combine that with your perspective, with what you're seeing, and then you point people to it, to the offer, right? But when people just essentially copy and paste swipe, most of us can tell if you're just copying and pasting swipe, even if we don't know that's what you're doing, even if we never heard of the term swipe copy, we never heard of such a thing. But when we're reading these emails, we can tell somehow. We, you know, like that, you know, the meter goes off, and I start to realize, okay, you'll just send something that to me that somebody else sends to you and says send it. So you're not the leader that I thought you were, right? I like you said, I don't think I want to be on your list anymore, because you're not seeing me for who I am as a reader. You're taking advantage of me or taking me for granted. You're not appreciating that I'm, by signing up for your list on some level, I'm really exposing that I need some help in something, and you're taking that for granted. And
Yeah.
I try. myself to not take that for granted. I tried to, I remember years ago I was struggling with what was called finding your voice. And look and see how different people, talk to their audiences. And I remember thinking, watching more of a charismatic guru type, do people really buy from this? And apparently many people do.
Until they get outed by CoffeeZilla or one of these other folks who loves making a big expose.
Yeah, he's good. It never ends. It's a YouTube channel, in case anyone's curious.
Yeah, I'll put it in the show notes. He's awesome.
Yeah, he's good. He's courageous. Um, so yeah, his focus has evolved over the years, but he definitely did. He used to do a lot of calling out fake gurus, um, and but even so, why do people send fake gurus their money? Why? I think because on some level, we all want to be told what we want to hear, right? We want this wonderful cartoon, like a one panel comic strip that I've seen. I think you've probably seen it too. There's these two lines in front of two booths. One is a really long line, and it says "satisfying lies." It's like he's offering, or something like that. It's like I'll tell you, satisfying lies, and the other one is painful truths. And there's like one person waiting to get to the painful truth. A lot of people want to be told what they want to hear. They want to be told that, oh, it's not your fault. You could really have all this, but it's someone else's fault. And that's a classic marketing hook. And that hook can be used responsibly and it can be used irresponsibly. And there are different people. Some people are really like, they'll spend tens of thousands of dollars because they just want to be able to rub shoulders or elbows with people that they think are cool people. Um, and that's what's being sold in many ways. You also sign up, be in this room at this with all these cool people, and you'll also be like them. But the fact that you're not really going to learn any foundational skills, you're not really going to experience any kind of change or transformation by being with these people. It's like, we're all in our own phase of growth, and we all come to that understanding sooner or later. And I came to realize that, yeah, maybe people do buy from that type of hype and from being talked to in that kind of way, but not me. And I don't want to appeal to those kind of people. I want to appeal to people who recognize that I'm responsible for my results. And yes, I need some help. And if you can help me, I'd like to pay for your help because that's fair. And, but I got to do the work. Right. So that's who I want to appeal to. So I don't want that. So I have to find my own voice, so I have to, it really just came down to realizing that I just write the way I would want to be talked to. I write what I want, or speak in a way that's just, you know, I don't like the word, but authentic. I don't like the word because it's been, harnessed for all kinds of things that are not very authentic. It's become, like, you don't have to teach someone to be authentic. You just help them give themselves permission to be authentic. You help them realize that, oh, I don't have to be something else. I don't have to live up to somebody else's expectations. I don't have to live up to someone else's standards. I could actually just say what I want to say. I can be who I want to be, and that's magic. Now you're authentic. It's more about cutting away than learning how to be authentic. It's just, don't do these. Don't be somebody else. Like, don't feel the pressure to perform a show that you don't want to. That's all. Now you're authentic, magical.
That reminds me of something similar. Like if somebody keeps talking about how much they're in integrity, that would be a big warning sign because that's the natural state to be in integrity. And if you're out of integrity and you're trying to fake us out, then you talk about being in integrity all the time.
That's right. Yeah. And the more precise somebody is with their language, the more specific, you know that they actually want people to understand them, as opposed to political speak, where there's all these vague words that sound good, but there's no specifics. Then there's a good chance that they just they just want you to feel good, but they don't want to be held accountable for anything actually changing, and it's disrespectful to the listener.
So all this, what you're saying about precision and what you say and how you present yourself, your products, being in integrity, being authentic, all that. Uh, that I think is those are all examples of Judaism applied in business, right? So where you're not, let's say, defaming the competitors, because it's in Hebrew, it's called lashon hara, evil speech. So you don't do that. You don't do that in business. You don't do that in your personal life. And so those sorts of principles, I think, are incredibly powerful and helpful in running a successful business.
I think so. I mean, I am Jewish. I don't, you know, talk about it with anybody because I'm not here to push anything on anybody. But, obviously it's definitely, you know, my whole worldview is coming through that. So, that's how I was raised and that's how I try to live. I think that another really important thing is when you actually believe that all of your money comes from God through people, right? Through serving people, but it's not from the client. Um, it really enables you to let's just say to grow. Like one of the things that kills sales is neediness, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
feel like I need to close this sale, and I've been there. Um, but over the years, as I grew as a person and my understanding of just the let's just say the Judaism view on how God runs the world and in kind of my relationship with Him, I realized that okay, um, you start to see repeatedly that I think that I need this client, and then this person doesn't go ahead, and you were sure they were going to, and the deal you expected to go through folds, and then but suddenly you get it from somewhere else. It shows up from somewhere unexpected, and when that you start to notice that happening repeatedly, then you start to realize, okay, no, yeah, yes, I have to show up and make my efforts, but I'm not really responsible for the results. I mean, I can't control the results. The only thing I can control is my efforts. And when you know that it's not you and it's not, then you also know that there's no reason to lie or cheat or steal or to worry about if a deal doesn't go through.
Yeah.
Obviously we all, these are things that like we all have our ideas about how things are going to develop. We invest a lot of time and effort into certain things. We want things to work out. But I think that it's very helpful to take a step back and realize that I want things to work out in the end, but I not to become too tied to this or that means. And I've definitely become more relaxed and more calm and happier over the years when you let go.
Yeah. Let go and let God.
That's
Yeah.
right.
One principle I love, I want to point out from Judaism as it applies to business is that your income is predetermined at the beginning of the year. So the beginning of the year in Judaism is Rosh Hashanah. And so if you are stressed out over where the money's coming from, then you're not operating in a place of faith, and you're actually pushing away all that abundance, all the prosperity that was already predetermined for you for that year. Just relax and trust and let things just come to you. It doesn't mean sit on the couch. It means actually do your efforts. You're 2%, but then God does the 98% that gets you the rest of the way there.
Yeah, and I mean these are complex topics because it's the balance of I'm working through them myself right now, and I'm not going to pretend to have all the answers. I don't. Nobody. I don't. I mean, I don't think anybody does. But the yes, there's things that are predetermined at the beginning of the year for that year. At the same time, like you said, there's a degree of influence that we can have on any day on how that whatever it is that's predetermined is delivered. So yeah, and exactly where those boundaries are and how that I'm not qualified to really. I'm a student of that, not qualified to teach.
And at the end of the day, this is all God's money anyway. So we're just shuffling around God's money. It's like it's not 10% is his the tithing part. It's 100%. We're just a steward of it. It's his business. It's his money, and we're just trying to be a good shepherd, steward of whatever abundance that we are.
We don't take it to the grave.
Yeah, and the more that you give to charity, the more abundance you'll get back. So this is a powerful principle that is not meant to be used retroactively. Like, okay, I did pretty well this year. What's 10% of this year been? Okay, now I'm going to do my donations. It's like, all right, I want to pledge this amount over the next 12 months, and it's a stretch. God, please help me out. Help me to make what I need to make in order for that to be, the 10% or whatever, not 50% of my income of the year. And it works out. It's like magic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there's a great video. I'll put it in the show notes of this principle and how it works, and it's kind of like a little mini documentary. Barrel something or other, I forget his name.
Solomon. Yeah, I saw that a while back. It was very good. Yeah,
Yeah.
he did a good job on that.
Yeah, so I'll put it in the show notes. Awesome. Well, I know we're running out of time here. So what kind of last nugget of wisdom do you want to share with our listener?
Last nugget of wisdom. Last nugget. I mean, it really just builds on, I guess, the last thing that we've said, which is don't allow other people. And this is a growth thing, to stretch. Let's say it this way: we're all influenced by other people, whether we want to be or not, whether we want to admit it or not. And but the issues arise for us when we're kind of bending ourselves into pretzels in some way in our life, because of other people's influence, and we end up doing things or spending time on things or committing to things that we're not really committed to, don't really want. It's not really who we're trying to be. It's not really what we want. And as you start to identify where that's true for me and eliminate it, small step by small step, it's transformational. It's a remarkable, beautiful thing, and the effect is immediate. So, that's a good thing, and it's life advice that applies to everything.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I've mastered that. I'm working on it. Like it's an ongoing thing.
Yeah, we're all students in Earth School.
Yep. It's the people who claim to have figured it all out that we need to be aware of.
All right. Well, why don't you share the website for the JVMM community, and if you want to share any socials as well, we'll of course put it in the show notes. But yeah, where should we send folks?
Thank you. Profitablерelationships.com is if anybody who is interested or qualified for the JVMM. So profitablерelationships.com. And if anyone is interested in my approach to generating consistent flow of clients, just add profitablерelationships.com/the manual, and there's an excellent book, free PDF that I used to sell for $97 for 5 years, but you can get it for free. So that's profitablерelationships.com/the manual, THEMANUAL.
Well, we'll include that in the show notes. And yes, that's very generous of you to include that book for free. And yeah, I appreciate you, Dov. I appreciate the community that you've built, and I appreciate your heart.
I appreciate you as well. And thank you. Look forward to seeing you in person soon.
All right. Well, take care. And you, listener, take care as well. Have an amazing week. Make it an amazing week. And be a light in the world. We'll catch you on the next episode. I'm your host, Stephan Spencer, signing off.